You're listening to Inspired Marketing, a podcast series that uncovers real experiences and inspirational stories from marketing leaders that are transforming the way marketing is done today. Brought to you by Relationship One, the Oracle Marketing Cloud's only exclusive SI and best practices consulting partner. Here's your host, Scott Ingram.
We've got a really special guest on the Inspired Marketing podcast today as I sit down with Jennifer Renaud, who is the Global Marketing Lead CMO for the Oracle Marketing Cloud, or as I like to think about it, the CMO of the OMC. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So hopefully everyone listening is already intimately familiar with the Oracle Marketing Cloud, since that's really our entire focus here.
Yes.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and your role?
Sure. Great. Well, I am a modern marketer. That's what I do. And my job is be first and best customer at the Oracle Marketing Cloud products. And so I get to use them all, test them all, try them all, work with our partners and make sure that we are testing what really works in the product set.
Perfect. And I know today we're going to focus on Oracle Content Marketing.
We are.
So talk about where this particular program or project started. What was the impetus?
Sure. Well, what really got us going on it was, thinking about better ways that we could develop and manage our content. And we spent, quite a bit of time recently, and actually I'm going to back up a little bit. It wasn't just how we manage our content. At the beginning, it started with, we need to go through a global rebranding exercise. And so at that time, we said, let's look at all the content that we have because it's going to cost us money to move everything to the new brand. And after we looked at all of the content, looked at what had been used for campaigns, what had been successfully used in campaigns, what drove the right engagement with our properties, we ultimately decided we probably needed about a fraction. The Pareto principle works. It was the 80-20 rule. We probably had about 20% of it we really needed. And with that, we said, let's rethink how we're managing this. And we said, light bulb on, oh my gosh, we have a product that does this that we are barely using.
Yeah, that's exciting. And so I like to kind of start with the end and then we go back to the beginning. Mm-hmm. So are you far enough into this project that there are results and are you seeing the impact yet?
No, we're just getting going in the project. So we're not really seeing the results other than from an initial get started. If I had just said, let's move everything we have to the new brand, we would have spent a lot of money doing that. And I think for us, being able to say, just beginning the process and doing the needs analysis and thinking about what we really need, we've already saved money in our budget during this new fiscal year, which begins today.
Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. And so it was good for us to go through it that way and rethink this, and figure out how we can make better use of our investments, of our time, and, to take it even further, how well we manage our messaging. This gives us a great opportunity to get even better. Yeah.
And just taking a step back and taking that bigger view and being really strategic about it. So how did you start then?
How did we start? Well, I wish we could say we started right at the beginning. We described this already. It was starting with a completely different project. When it became the branding exercise and then moved into how are we really going to manage what we do moving forward, that started it. Part two was, we're doing persona review at the same time. And while we're doing the persona review, we realize, hey, how much content do we have matching each persona? Well, today, by the way we create it and manage it, I can't tell you. But knowing how the analytics work in content marketing, tomorrow, not literally tomorrow, but soon, we'll be able to look at this and say, we've got the right content created for the right personas and the right industries and the right product set. And there's a lot of ways for us to be able to look at this and say, we've really covered our bases and we have what we need to drive the types of campaigns that we are driving moving forward.
And you were just gesticulating and sort of drawing a grid in the air for me. For those who maybe aren't as familiar with Oracle Content Marketing, tell us why you were framing it that way, because I think it's a really, really valuable tool in just helping understand this content map, if you will, and
Yeah.
that landscape that you're trying to solve for.
The thing that lit me up when I was looking at a demo of it myself, which is really interesting when you're demoing your very own products, but being able to tag a content piece, an asset that gave us an opportunity to say, this is a particular topic. So let me, say it is, Oracle Eloqua is my topic. And this is a tagged thought leadership piece. And my thought leadership piece actually takes it a step further because it's also, for enterprise. And I can also tag it again and say, it also covers these industries. And when I have this up and persona, it's this buyer, so I can really look at this in a lot of ways and say, this is a CMO in a financial services company that really, that needs this information about Eloqua. I now have the ability to look at that and create it that way. And if I build out my map in advance, it says, I know I want to cover these personas, and I know I want to cover these industries, and I know I want these 6 or 7 content types, and I understand what my topics are. And, in my case, topics for us will probably be each product. And that makes it a lot easier for us to make sure that we are covering completely how I would go to market in any area. So if I wanted to do a campaign that said it's always for the CMO, as an example, I would be able to look at everything I have available, tagged for the CMO, and make a decision about, do I have it? Do I have everything I need today? Or do I have a gap and I need to create something to go forward? And it totally changes how we build a campaign.
Yeah. What are the most important kind of steps and decisions in the way that you are framing this out and kind of the big picture as you work through the bigger piece of this project?
Well, for us, we're doing the full-on requirements analysis, make sure we understand all of the inputs and outputs. Who are all of the users? The inputs are, who are our content writers? Who are the people who are creating content? And for us, it's not just, a few writers on the team. It's the crowdsourcing that we're going to do across Oracle that will allow us to create meaningful content by the experts we have everywhere in the business. We have experts in customer success, in services, on our marketing team, in our sales organization that we should be leveraging to be able to share what they know about using and deploying any one of our products that make it easier for us to use. On the other side of it, we have sellers who need access to this content as well. And, we've got there's a great portal in this that will allow us to tag content that's really meant for them so that they can go ahead and share that with customers in an effective manner. And of course, how we can build it and publish it in many different locations is great as well. We can have content blocks that we say use this for anytime you're publishing to the web, or have templates that allow us to do that. And it really changes how we create the content, build it, use it, publish it, and it's a great way for us to, reduce the workload on some, share with all.
Yeah. And there's so many interesting pieces about that, right? I mean, one, you've got the way that it integrates as part of the rest of the Marketing Cloud. So it's going to tie into Eloqua. Yeah. It's going to tie into those different campaigns. And just to reemphasize sort of your point on the crowdsourcing of content, right? And the way that it pulls that out, because there's amazing conversations and amazing content being created as somebody in sales is answering a customer's question.
Yes.
One time, one off, that's never sees
used
the light
again.
of day again, right?
Never used again, and we've lost that institutional knowledge.
Yeah, so bringing all of that stuff back, I think is so exciting. So at this stage, like what's been the hardest part? What are you having to plan for and sort of overcome?
Well, for us, it's the technology adoption, and it's building the integrations that we need to build with our own technology. I mean, even though it's ours and we use it, we still have integrations that we have to build for ourselves. And for us, it was also making sure that we had the right integrations with some of our partners, like CloudWords, that we were using for our translations. It turns out they have a great integration, and it accomplishes what we need to accomplish. So, and then, we're going to have ongoing change management and adoption, as it's some of the newer ways that people will access content from our sellers, for example. They've accessed content off of a different type of portal, and now they'll move to this. So, there's ongoing communication and change management that we've got, starting immediately with we're now developing this way to we're now deploying and using this way. And so there's a good project plan, good requirements analysis coming into place, a good communication plan being put into place so that we can effectively do this.
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing all of that up. And just like we were talking about before we started the recording, this is a universal thing. This is every technology project. You have to think about the change management, the adoption, the integration. There's so much more to this than I'm going to wave a wand because, well, it's SaaS software and I've got my license and I'm ready to go. No, there's some more to it. So I love that you're thinking through that bigger picture and providing kind of that sponsorship and guidance and addressing it up front and not, hey, we're a year into this and I guess we have to almost go over and restart.
Yeah, exactly. And really unique when you own the product because it's the one you sell.
Right.
Like that adds a unique twist to it for us as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's great for all of us, right? Because now, just like we try and help facilitate with many of our clients where we're taking what they're trying to do and the unique use cases and ways that they're trying to use these products and the challenges that they're trying to solve for and bringing that to product and improving the solution, you're going to be doing that exact same thing.
Yeah, we're doing the exact same thing. Exactly. And we're actually doing it with partners just like you so that we get the benefit of the work that you've been doing with a number of, our customers also. I mean, there's no reason we should invent everything entirely on our own. We want the benefit of what the same experiences our customers have. So I enjoy that part of it. And actually it was during a sales call with a customer on this topic that I asked myself the question, wait, we have this and I don't think we're using it anywhere near the capacity that they're describing it, that the SC is describing it to this customer. And that's when I went back and said, wow, guys, are we really using this in every way we should? And I knew a few people did, but I didn't realize the extent to which we could do it and how it would transform our business.
Yeah, fantastic. So what's next, or what else? Maybe not even next, right? It's not like you're single threaded in the work that you're doing. There's probably a few other things going on. What else are you most excited about right now?
Well, we're looking at the roadmap. Of what's coming out with Eloqua. We announced at Modern Customer Experience the connection between Eloqua and Outlook. And we are very excited about being able to deploy that with our sellers as well, so that we have the opportunity for them just to be able to press send out of Outlook and have better engagement with our content that way. So I'm excited about, continuing the journey on what we're doing to, better use the technology to continue to be first and best customer in our products.
Yeah, good stuff. We're going to have to do this a little bit more regularly because I think that this, Oracle on Oracle, the way that you're using the solutions, because the reality is you look an awful lot like a lot of your customers.
Yes, yeah. And I love it when our customers ask us about this as well. So please feel free to ask because it's an interesting journey for us. I do get asked that question pretty regularly. Do you use your products? Well, yes, we do, but sometimes even not to the capacity that we could. And our job is really use it. And so that's what we push for.
Awesome. What other tools and apps and technologies can you not live without?
Oh, it was so funny. I saw the preview question and I started thinking about it and I was writing it down and I said, I cannot live without Waze and I cannot live without my Fly Delta app. And I cannot live without Lyft. So as it turns out, my not live without apps are all moving related. They're all going somewhere related. And then I thought, I might have some other apps that might be sit still apps. So that would be Flipboard and Apple Music, which is what gets curated for me. So that when I sit, something gets served up to me that makes sense. Based on the things I know are my interests.
Nice. What great insights into your life, right? There's definitely more moving than there is sitting.
There is sitting. Yes, exactly.
Well, Jen, we don't get to finish the show that we call lovingly Inspired Marketing until we hear from you. What is it that inspires you?
Yes. Well, so I was sitting this weekend and I was watching a marathon of HGTV Fixer Upper. And I was so inspired by what they were doing on the homes to create something from, something that was less than perfect and create something beautiful. And I really thought about that because for me, I like trying to figure out how to make things a little bit better. I like to ask that question. How can we do this a little differently? Are we doing this the best way possible? And I think about whether it's my home, is there something I can do to make it even more beautiful, to the processes that I have at work. Can we manage content more successfully? Are we lead managing the best way? Is there anything we can do to make this process even better? And we spend a lot of time asking those questions. What else could we do that would make it a little bit better? So for me, I think I'm just inspired by, what's that little bit to make things just maybe a little bit better, more efficient, a little less expensive, but just better. What can we do to make it better?
I love it. I will never watch HGTV the same way ever again. And it's on in my house all the time. So that's fantastic. Jen, thanks for being here. This has been a blast.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Inspired Marketing, brought to you by Relationship One. Tell us what you think by leaving a review.